Right. Hello everyone, this is Chris over at the planet. So I am here to doing another box break, but this time for the Ninja Turtle set. But as in the meantime, we do have the logos here. In the meantime, let's just rip this open and let's get on with. And then on the back side of this, you can see the 5 main archetype that it supports, similar to what they did with any other set when they started with this. But in the meantime, let's just rip this open and hope I can get through this as soon as I can. Alright, so as usual, you have your usual commons and uncommons. So to give you an idea for the set in particular, each character card in the set usually has a common, a uncommon, a rare, or mythic rarity in this set. And our first pack we got is the ooze. So this is a pretty strong holzer effect in terms of attacking cards in the graveyard, but at the same time it does give you a way to grow in your rest when you need to. And then let's just move on. Yes, unfortunately with every single pack there is a turtle in the pack. Don't know how often it comes out, if it's all commons, uncommons, rare, or mythic in terms of rarity distribution. Alright. Yeah, so there's Alright, and then within this cycle, there's gonna be these two turtles working together within the card itself. So in this case, we had a Raph and Leo. You will see this similarly with the other batch when you pair them together, and each of those cards will all be rares. So in this case, Leonardo is white in this set, Donatello is blue, Raphael's red, and Michelangelo is green. So you're gonna see a hybrid color pairing within the set. So dinosaurs. It's interesting, considering at one point in within the video game, there's actually, I guess in the comics, there's a time when they went back in time, so you're gonna see like dinosaurs. But otherwise, let's just continue on. So Michelangelo and Mikey and Leo, as I mentioned earlier, you're gonna see two characters within like the colors within its mana cost. So in the case, green cares about Michelangelo's like theme is usually +1/+1 counters, while Raphael cares about creatures entering the battlefield. Donatello's like artifact centric, and Leonardo is more of a creature sneak. I'll tell you more about the theme of the archetype as a whole as I go down this route. So, Black-White cares about evasion, sneaking their threats into getting your values first. So, April O'Neil is like one of the better threats at common, especially with her evasion of only creatures with power 2 or less can block it. Anything that's 3 or greater, you just can't block for squat. And then Orokusaki is like one of the key cards in the white-black sneak archetype. So sneak as a mechanic is more of a fixed version of ninjutsu, actually. So ninjutsu is more of an activated ability that can be activated anytime as long as the creature's unblocked after declare blocker step. While sneak as a mechanic, you can only sneak a card in while the creature's unblocked and only during the blocker step only. Can't do anything else beyond that. Alright, and here's one of the, I guess, a cute looking scene cards featuring Donatello. So the scenes in this set will featuring, based on how much card makes the entirety of the scene, will give you that entire scene. But for now, let's just move on. Alright, so blue-red is more artifact, if anything. So it's more synergized towards artifacts for the most part. So cards that care about artifacts, anything in general. So similar to like most other set that did artifacts as an archetype. Oh right, and then red white cares about creatures entering the battlefield. So that archetype usually wants you to go super wide. So a lot of the cards in the set will have outlines, and it just has a reminder text of when another creature or soul enters the battlefield, you get an effect. So in this case, Raphael Tough Turtle says, whenever another creature enters, you control enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. So cards that generate a bunch of creatures in one card is like the type of card effect you would want. For now, let's continue on. Oh right, so green black as a mechanic is more gears like disappear, so cares about permanents leaving the battlefield under your control. So you get a lot of the effects when you have stuff leaving the battlefield. So food tokens, religion tokens, anything along the line, anything that makes you want to sacrifice something, you will get an effect. All right, and then we got and the same pack rare for those who are like limited players. So all 3 of these cards are insane all-stars, but Sally Pride is like one of the more difficult cards to beat. Just because the moment you make 2 or 3 tokens, it's basically over. As when you attack with this card, you just put plus a counters on each creature you control. And then Agent Bishop, another strong card in limited, just keeps growing your creatures. Similar to Luminant Aspirant from Zendikar Rising, with rather than 2 mana 1/1, you have a 1/2 for 3 mana, and you get to target 2 creatures instead of 1. Right. It's a difficult card to pick because also Donnie and Leo is another card that lets you blink a bunch of things when you need to. Right, but for now, again, let's continue on. Alright, so Zoo Escapee, so this like ties into Rocksteady and Bebop. Oh, and then here's one of the other scene cards that make that one scene with Donatello. So you have a Leo, right, and then you have Slash. Unfortunately, I did not read into the comics in the Ninja Turtles, so I won't be too familiar with these characters, unfortunately, so I do apologize. But otherwise, so blue-green cares about the mutant like synergy in that sense that Genghis Frog, I believe, is the blue-green gold sign card in the set. So that one cared about when our mutants ETB, you get a mutant token. Right. Oh, Turtle Van, another insane card. Pretty strong once it gets going, but otherwise, if you like have a way to blocking it, it's just like whatever. But it's pretty insane once you like get your creatures getting 2 like triggers off this. So 1 entire cycle to like get around. All right, yeah, so oh, cool but rude. It's funny enough. I guess for those that watch the 1980s anime, so there's a cycle of classes with 4 of them were like referred to, which each of these enchantments refer to like what they said in the show in terms of the intro actually. Leonardo's, I don't remember exactly what the card name was, but it was that. Then Donnie Does Machine, which that is an actual card name. Raphael's Cool But Rude, and Michelangelo being the party dude, which of course they referred it to those magic cards painting. Anyways, continue on. But otherwise, going back to this card as a whole, so it's a really strong constructed card, especially in monument builds. Monument to Endurity, I don't remember what the exact card name, so it just cared about where you discard a card, you get like these 3 different effects, and then so notice the level 2 of this card. It doesn't say whenever you discard 1 or more. So every time you discard a card, you get a trigger. So it does like basically just wins over time whenever you attack or you have ways to discard. All right, let's try to move on. So. Tokar Razor. Another batch of cards. So Tokar Razor is the type of card that can actually hold a bunch of like decks that try to discount their spells. So in the case of the evoke cycle from Lowering Eclipse, so if you casted those cards with the evoke cost, this will trigger it because you're paying less than its mana value. So just be mindful about that. This also includes warp, so try to at least get this off the board before you get shot up to death. But anyways, continuing on. So sweet foil in the form of the Dream Beavers. So another playable card in the black-white self-bounce archetype with so when you're just draining your opponent's one and you're scrying one. All right, continuing on. Here you go. So here's one of the other cards that like, oh, well that's funny. I didn't realize that these 2 cards were made by the same artist actually. So I guess if you are wanting to see, just didn't realize up until now. Yeah, so Dark Leo and Shredder is another pretty strong limited card. So giving all your ninjas death touch when they are attacking. But defensively, they're not exactly the most amazing thing. But otherwise, like, you just pretty much rack up a bunch of ninjas along the way when you are connecting with it. All right, continuing on. All right, let's just continue on. Yeah, Kisuni's technique. So it's a mill effect card. So milling your opponents for half their deck rounding up. Not exactly like the most amazing direction win condition just because in limited that it's not very often you're gonna get to mill your opponents because there's only a handful of cards that mill. Here's one of the other scene cards, but it's for a different one actually. And then here you go, the last Ronin. So right, I guess so I never exactly read too heavily into the comics, but what I remembered, I guess for those who's never really read it and don't really care for the spoilers, so the last Ronin refers to like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so 3 of the brothers dying, and then Michelangelo actually is the last sole survivor of the Turtles. Right. All right, Baxter. So you see a bunch of villains as well, who they eventually become insects due to the mutagens. But for now, let's continue on. So here's one of the showcase cards in the set. So you're not gonna see them as much, but this is what you're gonna see. So a lot of them are based off on usually either the comic or the actual anime. Softwind Avatar. Unfortunately, I don't have too much of a knowledge of the avatars in this set in terms of the 4 directions of the avatar. So, and then here's one of the bonus sheet cards, Shadow Spear. So it's a pretty strong limited card, I guess, for those who's like had to fight against this. And in constructing the decks that play Urza Saga. Yeah. So gain your creatures +1/+1 trample lifelink, and then punish your opponent controls, lose hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. Ooh, such a pretty strong effect when you can just like slice out those two relevant effects of your opponent's creatures of cards. But for now, let's continue on. Alright, and then another mythic. So Leonardo Sewer Samurai. So you cast a creature with power or toughness 1 or less, and then that creature enters the finale. Super strong effect. And a creature with double strike. Ooh, such a pretty ugly card effect when that goes off. But anyways, continuing on. Yeah, and then you guess you see the last Ronin technique. Yeah. Such a sad story when you like think about it. But anyway, that's just like the comic iteration of the last Ronin. Metalhead. All right, not too familiar with this villain in the within the universe of Ninja Turtles, and then yep. Oh, speaking of it. Yeah, another like scene of the last Ronin technique of the showcase, and then in Northampton Farm. Yeah, so I guess for those that have read the lore of it, yes, this was like usually the base of operations if you are like just trying to regroup. But for now, let's continue on. Yeah, here you go. Does machine. So you see Donatello Infinity art itself. Yes, that's the whole idea of the reference. Right, and then Mikey and Don. So yeah, you see the next batch of cycle of two turtles working together to doing its thing. Alright, last roll of packs array, so let's try to speed this up if I even can. Okay, anyways. Oh, Foot Ninja, so another scene card. Yeah, so Saved by the Shell. Oh golly, things are cease to amaze me. Alright. Ooh, yeah. So here's one of the other pairs, but rather than like the turtle, you see like the villains paired up all together. So we did pull a Bebop and Rocksteady together, and now you see a Crank and Shredder. And then April. Ooh, so this is another sweet card for Modern as a whole, just because like when you're trying to chain a bunch of different card types, you can draw essentially between 2 to 5 cards like per turn cycle, and it's like, my lords, like being able to hold up counter spells in the process. Oh, it is holy mercy strong when that happens. All right, let's try to get this out of the way. All right, yeah, here you go. Here's the frog that I referred to. Yep, so he cares about the mutants. Yeah. Chrome Dome. And then broadcast takeover, so another oddball among in limited, just because only the blue-red artifacts will like care about like the artifact archetype. So everywhere else is like it's all right there. EDH maybe when for those are like trying to like chain a bunch of spells and you just steal all your opponent's artifacts like that. Anyways, continuing on. Well, so unfortunately we did not hit what I was hoping to hit, but I guess when that time comes around. So here's one of the other color pairs, Donnie Leo. Right. Let's move forward and just speed this up. Shredder's technique. Yeah, so using the anime art. Alright, here's one of the other character base, and yeah, Armageddon Future Shark. Yeah, so pretty strong in limited as once you like get to that point, just because it does cost 8 if anything, but being able to destroy up to 3 creatures and it does has flash, so pretty strong in terms of like being able to blow out, like turn your combat trick in the worst possible scenario. So just be mindful when you see your opponents holding up 8 mana, including double black. Alright, Leonardo's techniques are another strong enabler for those that are trying to cheat a bunch of creatures cheating creatures from the graveyard onto the battlefield. So that's like one other ones that to consider when you're playing with Abhorrent Oculus. Alright, Leatherhead are pretty strong and constructed, especially for those that are going to play Landfall. Michelangelo's technique. Alright, let's try to finish these last couple packs and then just call it that. Alright, Racking, another feasible card in Modern as a format. So having your fetch lands like leaving the battlefield will enable this, and then being able to cheat something from the yard onto the board. Yeah. All right, and then last pack already. If I can't even rip this open. Yeah, so I guess the card I was hoping to find is Super Shredder in this set, since that's the card that like gets the more value in Modern as a format, where fetches exist. Yeah, and then another strong card for those that are going to play with Modern artifacts, or AK Affinity for artifacts. That's the key word that cares about that. Otherwise, so with what you see, I would say the box was such a fine one. It's not exactly the most amazing one, but at the same time, when you are going to play constructed, this is where like a lot of the cards in the set shine in, more constructed in Commander or the sort. But otherwise, well, for what you're seeing, yeah. So let's look at it. Yeah, so Leatherhead as a card that has hexproof when it enters. So just be mindful, try not to like try to killing it outside of combat unless you have like wrath effects or sacrifice effects. But otherwise, well, with what you see, I hope you enjoy what you see, and I will sign off here. If you do like what you see, consider giving us a like, subscribe, and I hope to do another box break for future sets. Until then, everyone.